Okay, let's talk about Dallas. So they're 9-10. They've lost four in a row. That's not fun. Two of those games, their offense was kind of rough. Two of those games, it was more so the defense. Luka has been great, as you would expect. Now, opening up the year, it was pretty drastic how he was posting up more often and being super ruthless. And anytime he had a smaller guy on him, or even a like-sized guy on him, really, on top of just all the other Luka things he does. And now that we're a little farther into the season, I mean, you can still see that. In his recent game against the Celtics, number of possessions where he had Derek White or Sam Hauser in the post. In the first Nuggets game they had recently, anytime Bones Highland was on him, it was immediately right into the post. Luka's going to do his Luka thing. When talking about Dallas, it's kind of everything around it. So, in two of their recent losses, one the second time they played the Nuggets and then once to the Raptors, Luka was double-teamed a lot on screens in those games. And, I mean, Luka's going to make the right play all the time, and so that's going to be like a pass to Dinwiddie in the opposite corner, and Dallas was still able to get baskets off of those Luka traps, but it also resulted in Luka taking 15 shots in the Raptors game, 16 shots in the Nuggets game. He also attempted a good amount of free throws, but then it results in, like I said, Dinwiddie or Josh Green or Dorian Finney-Smith or Maxi Kleber or Christian Wood or Dwight Powell dive into the basket, whatever it's going to be. It starts to become a series of drive-in kicks, and everybody else has to try to make the defense pay, and sometimes they're able to do it, but it did just result in a lot of extra plays for the defense where it's like, oh, cool, Luka didn't just get to do whatever he wanted against us. It became more so like, can we get a decent closeout on Reggie Bullock? Or it was like, Dorian Finney-Smith has to attack this closeout and then make the next play, and I do wonder how Dallas, if teams keep throwing this at them, are going to deal with it. I mean, Jason Kidd had a soundbite I saw on Twitter where he basically was just like, we got to make the shots. And of course, that's always going to be part of it. But I do also wonder if there's anything else. I mean, for what it's worth, there was like one play in that Raptors game I remember where Luka threw it to, I want to say it was Kleber at the, like right next to the free throw line. And then Luka cut off of that, and then Kleber dumped it off to him, and it resulted in a Luka layup. Like something a little different like that. To mention Christian Wood some more, Dallas fans still really want the guy to play more minutes, and I just feel like Jason Kidd is just too scared of what the defense looks like if Christian Wood is out there for heavy minutes beyond like 25, 26 a game, even with the roll and pop potential as well as like face-up and post-up potential he has around Luka, right? I guess some of this too is, how does Jason Kidd feel about Christian Wood as the lone big man for heavy minutes? Because a lot of the time he's been out there with Maxi Kleber. Those two together have played about 217 minutes together. That's what NBA.com tells me. I think what I'm asking myself is, like, what type of defense does Jason Kidd want to play with Christian Wood? Because, like, for example, in the Bucks game, you could find some possessions where he was switching, like one where he switched onto Drew Holiday, and then it was Tim Hardaway Jr. having to guard Bobby Portis on a post-up, which was just an easy one for Portis. Against the Raptors, he had some plays where he was switched onto Gary Trent, or he was guarding like a wing, so then he had to guard in space a little bit more. I don't know, man, it's tough. I mean, nobody's going to put Christian Wood on the extended list of best rim protectors in the league, so you might have to ask him to move around more defensively, but you also kind of need him for your offense to be as good as it can be, unless you just want to bank on Reggie Bullock and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber's threes going in more consistently. Meanwhile, you've got Dwight Powell and JaVale McGee as your other options at center, which, okay, that's where we're at. Also, Josh Green's kind of interesting right now. His threes have been better this year. He did have one game recently where he was like 6 for 7 from outside or whatever, but he's been a little more willing to take it, and the percentages have just been better. And with Hardaway and Bullock and their shooting struggles so far, like, it's something. And to talk about the defense a little bit more, like, they've had some weird moments. Like in the Celtics game, you're asking Reggie Bullock to fight around a couple of Jalen screens, and he's a little slow around those. There was one play where like Hardaway and Josh Green had a thing where it was Brogdon who got a pull-up three off of a screen, and I think one of them thought it was a switch. The other one thought it was not a switch, basically, so they went with their guy. Like, it's just kind of weird sometimes. Against the Bucks, like, Grayson Allen made 7 threes, and I wouldn't say the defense on any of them was like particularly terrible, but it was also like where the rotation's a step slower. I don't know. There might be a specific lineup in there that's going to save the day. I know Mavericks fans right now, at least the ones that I've seen on the internet, who are pretty upset. They'll say that it's Luka, Dinwiddie, Christian Wood, Josh Green, and Finney-Smith. Hey, listen, man, I would like to believe that if Jason Kidd believed that he would have an awesome defense with Christian Wood out there, then he'd be doing it. Well, for more than on average 25 minutes a game, and again as the lone big guy. Clearly they miss Jalen Brunson. Of course, they could use a second star next to Luka. And I guess this can go into a more of a bigger picture conversation for this team. Assuming that they're at least just decent, they will give up their pick to the Knicks after this season, and then all of their future picks will be available. So you could just look at it as let the season play out, and then have everything available for the next star player that wants out, because they've also got a bunch of tradable contracts. So I don't know, that's just a bit of a waiting game. Now, if they were hell-bent on getting better this season, they technically could trade one of their future picks right now, but it would be in like 2027, which that's kind of a scary sight. My gut is that that's not going to happen, but if they really wanted to pick up another creator, even if it's not going to be a star, like they could technically do it. But yeah, to sum this whole thing up, we'll see if the role players start making their threes more. We will see if Jason Kidd can have an awesome defense with Christian Wood playing heavy minutes. We'll see if Christian Wood and Jason Kidd like each other if we fast forward a month. And as I'm doing this, they're playing the Warriors currently, so whoever wins or loses tonight's game, just blame it on me.